The aldermen are here and accounted for. If everyone will please stand for the opening prayer by Alderman Jeff McKee, and please remain standing for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Let's bow our heads. Dear Heavenly Father, Lord, we come to you tonight. We just thank you for our community and our town, Lord, our townspeople. Lord, I want to lift up thanks and gratitude for keeping our firemen safe this past week and the fire that occurred. And Lord, just thank you there were no injuries at all. Lord, as we're here tonight to make decisions for the town, I just ask for wisdom and clarity, and Lord, also that for our townspeople. Lord, we lift all these things up to you in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen. Lieutenant Ross, since y'all were on that fire, you want to lead us in the pledge, please?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Please be seated. Do I have a motion to approve the minutes from the July 2nd, 2018 meeting? Motion by Mr. Harmon.
Second.
Second by Mr. Brooks. Any discussion or questions on the minutes? Any objection to those minutes passing? Seeing none, that item passes. Next up, grievances and comments from citizens. This is a chance that anyone can speak on any particular topic, whether it's on the agenda tonight or not. We do ask you to limit your comments to 3 minutes. Please note that it's not Q&A, so if it may or may not be covered tonight, we'll do our best if it's something that we can cover in the agenda, but it doesn't necessarily, we may not be able to answer your questions directly, but staff will take notes and get back with you. Is there anyone here wishing to speak on any particular topic? Just raise your hand if so. You guys are making this easy. Seeing none, we'll move on to communications from the mayor, the Sheriff's Department report. Good evening.
Hi, good evening. Hey, everybody doing? My name is Lieutenant Kathy Crowder. I'm here to give the report for Arlington for the month of July 2018. We had a total of 27 reports that was taken out of Arlington. And out of those reports, we had theft of motor vehicles. We had 5 reports that came in. And out of the 5, 3 vehicles left unlocked, and 1 handgun was stolen. 2 of the victims whose vehicle was burglarized have video recordings, and that was turned over to our detectives division. We had 1 burglary from residents that happened. The victim left the garage door open. The suspect went in and stole a little small bag of items. We had 1 burglary from construction site. It happened at 4700 Chester Street, and it was due to some copper wire that was stolen off that particular property. Other than that, I don't have anything else to pass on from the report from the Sheriff's Office. We're going to continue to be vigilant in the neighborhoods. If you see anything, please continue to call us, and please continue to lock your property up. If you have any videos, we thank you all for submitting that information to us. That help us be able to solve some of those crimes that's coming in. That's all I have to report.
Thank you, Lieutenant. Any questions for Lieutenant on anything on that report? Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Thank you for being here. Next up, we usually do the Arlington Fire Department report. We're going to do things a little different tonight. I'm going to turn it over to Mrs. Durant, and she's going to address several things.
Good evening. Thank you for an opportunity to speak. Tonight, I'd like to take a few minutes to tell you some positive things that are going on in Arlington for every department. Got a few slides that go along with, well, I thought we did. Go along with my talking points. So to talk about town projects, things that are going on in the town of Arlington, you may have noticed that we have some activity on the LPRF grant at 4th Street Park. That's a phase 2 and a phase 3 construction. Later, under Parks and Recreation, we'll get into a little details of what all that entails. Right next door to the 4th Street Park is 4th Street Campus. That is still in the design phases, but should be out for bids pretty soon. And the NEPA stage is Highway 70 right-of-way acquisition and road improvements for Highway 70 at Jetway. Airline Road is in the right-of-way acquisition phase. Those appraisals have been finished, and we have almost completed title work, and we'll be moving forward with Airline Road. The bike pedestrian trail phase that is to begin in front of Arlington Sports Complex is in the NEPA and design phase. The Lillian Bend lift station design to switch over that lift station from a force main to a gravity flow system will be moving forward, and it is in design. Depot Square Rotary alignment is also part of this picture that you see, so that master plan there encompasses all three of those major projects going on down there at the same time. We are in the right-of-way acquisition phase of the Depot Square Road realignment. Hall Creek Sewer Extension is under the design phase, that's south of I-40, that will extend sewer services to properties south of I-40. And the tennis facility on the Memphis-Arlington Sports Complex is out for bid. Under Public Works, Forest Street paving and restriping has been complete, making that a much safer journey down Forest Street. Looks nice as well. Milton Wilson Road paving and patching, a lot of that is still underway, but a lot of that has been completed and also is making our streets safer for our cars and our pedestrians and our bicycles. Access control system is being looked at by the fire department and Public Works for controlled access to the safe room. Rekeying the building didn't seem to cut down on a lot of the building being left unlocked and some security issues that we're having at that facility, so we are looking at that system. Mr. Perkins will be working with UT MTAS to develop a street inventory and a way of evaluating the condition of our streets and grading our streets moving forward. The MS4 Stormwater Annual Report is due in September. We'll have a public hearing prior to the Planning Commission meeting in August for that report to be turned in September. Ms. Darlene Wakefield, Mr. Terry Perkins are hard at work on that. We are continuing to develop shared services in all departments. In Arlington, fleet maintenance and building maintenance. Fleet maintenance has been with us for a while. Roger Kaiser heads that department. That's been very beneficial to us. Building maintenance is going out for advertisement now, and we'll be interviewing for that position soon. If you haven't been in the Public Works Department lately, take a look inside the admin building, the break rooms. They have new furniture, some things that are being reorganized down there. It looks much nicer. Still waiting on some of those pieces to come in. Some other improvements that have been going on at Public Works and ongoing for some time is the new maintenance software is up and running. We're figuring out a lot of different ways to put that software to work for us. It's a wealth of information that we're just learning to tap into. We've purchased 2 new dump trucks, claw truck, a bucket truck, and various tools and equipment that enable us to work smarter and not harder. Those are just a few things that are going on at Public Works. In the sewer department, as you know, we've grown our staff from 2 members to 5 members. 3 of those members are operator licenses. 2 of those members also hold collection system licenses. Casey Jones will be attending in August a certification for pretreatment. Ongoing meetings are being held for sludge removal or biosolids removal at the wastewater lagoon. We've purchased a new $80,000 camera system. That camera system is in place and is being used not only for sewer but throughout the town for drainage systems and other systems that we need to be able to use that camera system for. The new SCADA system has been ordered. That in and of itself was a long drawn-out process for us to understand all the moving parts to that SCADA system. Terry and Gil have done a wonderful job in making sure that we do the best we can for our sewer treatment plant. New security cameras are in place. That's also as part of opening the property up to access to the lake property, but those new security systems are there. A new phone system has been installed. Most importantly, 15 months without permit violations for the town of Arlington. The 3 years prior to this, it was permits every time we got a report from the state. So this is to be applauded for the sewer department. On August 28th, they'll have a fats, oils, and grease class. Don't pour it down the drain. Fats, oils, and grease do not dissolve and can clog up your sewer system. So if you want to see the real dirty pictures of that, I'm sure they'll be showing some of those on August 28th. Collection system repairs are ongoing. That includes manhole rehab, slip lining, sewer lines, and various furniture, fixtures, and equipment have been purchased also at the wastewater treatment plant. If you haven't been down there lately, the before and after of what that facility looks like is tremendous, and it's ongoing. In the Parks Department, we did lose our Parks Director, but we are making an offer to a young man. His name is Daniel Carson for the Parks Director. If he accepts that offer, then he will begin on October 1st. Have not received that signed offer acceptance yet. As we said before, the LPRF grant on Forest Street Park is proceeding. It includes landscaping, lighting, of the drive and the parking, playground equipment, sprinkler system, walking trail, concession pavilion, beautiful concession pavilion that I think everyone's going to be real proud of, and we'll play off that architectural design and some of the other features for Forest Street campus. A fountain in the lake, road improvements with on-street parking to Forest Street. That project is well underway. If you haven't been by there to take a look, you'll see. Soccer was disrupted. Tom Braswell worked very hard with soccer. Mayor Wisman made a few suggestions. The school is going to allow the soccer to use a facility down there on Saturdays, and then practices will be at Douglas Street Park. Jamie Hanna and Tom were out there today with your new turf tank, drawing off the new lines at Douglas Street and placing the goals out there. So that turf tank has come in real handy and is a time saver as well. We have resodded the football field with a new species of turf grass for high traffic areas. The before and after pictures are amazing. Today they rolled that and smoothed that out. That has to be watered twice a day, every day. Hopefully it'll be ready for August 30th start of play for football season. Fall leagues are ready and underway. I understand lacrosse is here tonight. I know their agreement is on here, and I believe another agreement has been added to the end of the agenda for tonight. Along with the turf tank just mentioned, Parks Department has bought a new truck, a new mower, various tools and equipment, again, to enable employees to work smarter, not harder. The lake property improvements have included so far parking, fence, signage, and guardrails. The guardrails are ordered in a patina to make them look old and blend with their landscaping. They're not the bright, shiny metal. Takes a little bit longer to get in, but that's to allow safe access to that property for the general public. I think you're going to be really proud of what the Parks Department has been able to do at the lake property. If you haven't been down there, it looks great. Again, the new Parks Director hopefully will start on October 1st. And the Parks Department is busy preparing for your basketball season. That is an in-house league that is ran by the town. Fire Department. The Fire Department report is on file. If you have any questions, Chief Harville will be glad to answer those for you. That structure fire mentioned earlier today did have a partial collapse with some of our men in the building, so that was pretty scary. I don't know how they do what they do. I watched some of the video from a helmet cam today. I applaud them every day for what they do. The study for the second company and the second station has been complete. We've identified land that we're in the process of working with the attorney on trying to acquire. The RFQ, request for qualifications for an architectural and engineering service, has been looked at. Chief Harville's working on that very closely with Chief Mack. The Chiefs Conference, both chiefs attended that chief conference, which is an important way for them to network and to have ongoing education and training. 2 members passed their hazmat tech course. We did lend mutual aid on that large structure fire. Also had a drowning this month, and it was a 10-year-old, if I'm not mistaken, full recovery. At first on the scene, didn't look like there would be a full recovery from that, so thankful for that family. Pools are very dangerous. Active shooter training will be held in this room on August 21st through 23rd for all employees. If you're interested in attending, Chief Mack may have a space left for you. He may be full, I'm not sure, but that's very vital training. The fire department has been awarded an AFG grant for the exhaust system, $44,667, or a 5% match by the town. That's the second grant that the fire department has been awarded in the last 2 months. So applaud them for their efforts in achieving grants. They are working on their specifications for the Quint. That's the second aerial piece of equipment that you'll need in order to fight structure fires in some of these larger buildings and some of these multi-story buildings. In the planning department, Ms. Reeder and Ms. Helen Carmack have worked very hard on the 2020 census review. They've added 538 new residences to the 2020 federal census list of addresses to be certified. The admin position has been hired. Ms. Janet Lucchesi Lucci, I'm sorry, I pronounced that wrong, will start on September 16th. There has been a reconfiguration of desks in the main office. Ms. Reeder was instrumental in drawing that out and figuring out a way for us to separate employees and figure out to get them a better work environment and workspaces. The August Planning Commission agenda will address 5 items. Myers Park, large residential development on the west side of town, which is very exciting. Arlington Trail, large commercial development south of I-40, also exciting. A small rezoning down on Highway 64. Rich Products site plan will be adding 2 large tanks to hold highly concentrated waste. This highly concentrated waste is then shipped off-site, plays into a little bit of your conversation later about sewer fees. The Animal Equine Hospital on Highway 64 is looking at an expansion, and those are your 5 items for your August PC. DRC, you have a Wright Medical expansion going before the Design Review Committee. In-score expansion on Commander Drive, Forest Street, Park landscaping, just the landscaping portion of Forest Street Park will be going forward to the DRC at this time. In Depot Square, exciting things happening. It's great to see. I don't know if you've been down there. If you haven't, you should go. A lot of construction. A-Town CrossFit is under construction. Brenda Lea is under construction. Arlington Depot Square, which is the old Gin property, is under construction. A Greenlee offices is under construction, and there's quite a few infill lots in the old part of town. One thing that we may have coming before us this month is a BZA, and it is a lot on Quintard that has enough square footage but not quite enough frontage that'll be looking for a variance there to be able to do another infill lot in the old part of town. It's exciting to see. 29 building permits were issued, 1 pre-construction, 4 site plans, 6 preliminary meetings, and 18 new homes were built. In the finance department, we had 2 credit reviews, one for the general fund, one for the sewer fund. This is for your bond rating. Your bond rating in your general fund was a AA3. It's been raised to a AA2. Applaud your finance staff for that. That's excellent. Finance staff is here tonight. General fund, sewer fund maintained an A2. With everything that we've had going on in the sewer fund, it is also to be applauded that you were able to maintain your A2 in the sewer fund. Another reason why you get into those items later on your agenda. They have forwarded a fund balance policy to the Board of Mayor and Aldermen, which Board of Mayor and Aldermen adopted, making recommendations tonight for money to be set aside on your agenda. Revise the drug policy, and have gone over that with all of your employees. Close the books for June 30th and are preparing those books for audit. Audit reports take a lot of time, a lot of effort, a lot of energy. Assisted with job descriptions for the building maintenance position and the admin position, ongoing grant administration. Every one of these grants we talk about, the finance department has been charged with grant administration. So every detail, every step of the way, they have to do those grant administrations. On top of the regular functions like payroll, purchasing, auditing, budgeting, collections, they also assist with basketball registration. I saw that the Senior Citizens Center is here tonight, Miss Elizabeth, and the library are also under the purview of the finance department, and they do an excellent job. If you haven't looked at what the stats are that we forward you for those 2 functions, it's amazing that they do everything that they do with what we've given them to do. In closing, and if you have any questions, be glad to answer them, or you've got quite a bit of staff here. In closing, Arlington has a lot of positive things that we should be very proud of. Hardworking, dedicated employees and department heads that make this happen every day. Thank you.
Thank you. Good presentation to see what all is going on. Thank you all, staff, for being here tonight. We appreciate the work you do. I was looking at some of those little pictures up in the corner when they show Public Works, and you realize small staff doing a lot of work, and with everything going on, we appreciate it. So thank you. Go ahead.
Yeah, you said that the fire department was on file. That means is Chief not going to do a presentation then?
Yeah, if you'd like him to.
I just have a question to ask.
Just come on up. Come on, Chief. Let him ask his question.
Yeah, I contacted, and I think one of the items was on there about the study that TIC's doing. Kathy, is that right?
Pardon?
You know, the interstate,
You have a memorandum of understanding on tonight's agenda
Right.
having to do with incident management on the interstate.
yeah, I sent an email a few months ago. It just seems like there's something wrong with our interstate, that we consistently having wrecks with 18-wheelers and some other things, and I haven't gotten an answer yet. But is there any way you can put on your monthly, just saying calls we made on interstate?
On the interstate? That's no problem, we can do that.
I think, because I think we're going to be asked that if they ever answer that email, because it's amazing how many times we're having things.
It was shut down Friday night.
Yeah.
70 was.
Well, it was again today, or practically today. Every time I, hear about it, I try to get the information out so they don't go that way. But if you could put that on there, I'd
sir.
like to know how many incidents we're having.
I know a lot of times we don't know the cause of the accidents. I know we can get with the TDOT and the Highway Patrol and the Sheriff's Department to figure out some of the cause, but it points to distracted driving, excessive speeding, and just people being intolerant of one another. It seems to be the three major factors.
Well, I thought at first, they got a grant all the time for the speed control, and I thought maybe coming from 70 to 65 is causing some of it, but it's on both sides.
Yes, sir.
And then they do sit down there quite a bit, but
But we can add that, no problem at all.
thank you.
Thank you, Chief. And just one other thing, just kind of pertinent to what she was saying about stuff going on. I was in S.Y. Wilson's today, and on the backside, the old Maurice Gaines office. If y'all haven't been in there, you need to go in there and see what they've done with that place. It looks like an old-time building, like in downtown Memphis or something. I hate to say, like just the brick walls and the stained floors. It's a beautiful, and it's a construction office. I didn't even know it was in there. The backside, right across from the Walker Salon. And the chamber?
He
Yeah.
used to sit right out there
Yeah.
in front
Or
of
the farmer's market in A-Town,
Very bad.
The
Go
backside.
upstairs too, it's amazing.
Yeah, it used to just be a storage and junk all in there, and they've turned it into a great office space. So I didn't even know about it till today. So it's great. Just a couple of announcements. Ms. Howe's here from the chamber, but we do have the chamber lunch on Wednesday at 11:30. And there's also, in front of you all, there's a flyer for the 5K, which is Saturday, September 8th. So if anybody has any questions, it is on the website and Facebook page, maybe. Okay. So did want to make note of those. Also, school starts Monday. Yay. But be prepared for more school traffic and then more traffic when you're leaving for work. And it's been nice this summer. I can get to work a little faster, but it's about to get congested. So, and
Reports on the police.
yeah. So, and also be aware that starting on Friday nights, you're going to have that traffic too. I think there's Jamboree here this Friday, and so expect larger crowds and all that. So that's all going on. Remember, next month, Labor Day is on a Monday, so our meeting is on a Tuesday, September 4th. And just for the record, I just want to say a couple, our good friend Ron Lawler passed away after last month's meeting. Representative Ron Lawler, he's been in a lot of our thoughts, and just as we're talking right now, there's a committee meeting going on to discuss a replacement for that seat, which will represent us, part of Bartlett, Lakeland, and unincorporated over to Millington. So just want everybody to be aware that was going on too. But we're going to miss him. He's been a good asset. He helped us create a school system, and he's been a good part of this community for a long time. So I think we all had our own special relationship with him, and he will be missed. So we just hope that moving forward, we have a state representative that will represent us in the same way that the manner that he did. So that's all I have. Anybody else have any announcements? Any committee reports from the last month? Committee heads want to talk about? Okay. On to, Treasurer's report. Yes. I'm out of whack here. Treasurer's report, Mr. Brooks.
In
You
the
got your
general
glasses?
fund, we had a beginning balance of $2,982,751.39, and an ending balance of $2,648,721.12. And then our sewer fund that these gentlemen are responsible for, $1,609,479.13, and an ending balance of $1,772,749.61.
Thank you, Mr. Brooks. Any question on the treasurer's report? Seeing none, we'll move on to old business. Any old business, Mrs. Owens?
No, sir.
Okay, on to new business. Item A, first reading of ordinance 2018-08 of the Town of Arlington, a municipal corporation of the state of Tennessee, creating the fire department committed fund balance in order to ensure fund availability for the development of a future fire station. Mrs. Owens.
Yes, sir. This is a first reading, so it will come back to you next month. But if you'll remember, last month we adopted fund balance policy that outlined the different designated funds that you can have. A committed fund does take an ordinance, and it has to be unanimous decision to commit money. It's the highest level of commitment that you can make on a fund balance. So tonight, the finance department is presenting to you an ordinance to request that. The fire department did complete a proposal for a second fire company and station, and it was presented in a work session on June 27th. And so this ordinance states that the Board of Mayor and Aldermen of Arlington wishes to segregate funds currently reflected in the undesignated fund balance of the general fund and allocate those funds to the building of a future fire station as committed funds in the amount of $4 million. Just to note, if this ordinance does pass, it'll hereby create the committed fund balance, and any revisions to that would have to come back before the governing body at the time and be redecided on. So staff recommends approval, and we're going to answer any questions that you have.
You've heard the recommendation by Mrs. Owens. Do you have a motion to approve?
Second.
I heard several motions. I was trying to, Mrs. Pardue, and second was?
Leave it over there.
Okay, Mr. Harmon, okay.
They're fine.
I couldn't catch them all. I was, all right, so remember, this is the first reading, so anything after tonight, if you have questions or more discussion, we can get with staff, and then it's second reading. Of course, we can have discussion tonight, but I'm saying if there's some things that you really have some questions on, get with staff, chief, and get back and before the next reading next month. And we have a public hearing on that too next month. Okay, so discussion or questions? Just for clarity, does it say 4 million or up to 4 million?
It'll be $4 million.
Up to?
No.
No,
The amount is
4 million.
So,
Not up to, 4
What does
million.
that mean exactly?
It means you're going to
What
commit.
if it's 3 million, we're gonna give them 4?
You could come back with another ordinance to reassign
Re-
that money.
reduce it.
To uncommit that
Or if it
money.
needs to be more? Is that what you're gonna ask too?
well, I was just making sure, I was trying to flip through the pages. I wanted to make sure it was, if it was 4 million or up to 4 million, to make sure that we were clear on that.
Come back either
Once
way.
this ordinance passes, it'll actually be an accounting function that'll take that 4 million out of our undesignated, set it aside in its own separate line item to commit that money where it cannot be touched for any other function. And so if you do go to construction and it doesn't come back to be the 4 million, you can come back before the board and say, we want to reallocate that money, uncommit it, put it back in undesignated, or assign it to a different project.
So in layman's terms, this is just, so this is, we know for sure we're going to designate this amount instead of, okay.
Did-
Keep in mind, building a station isn't just the building, furniture, fixtures, and equipment.
With the way the cost of construction seems to be right now, we just need to hope and pray for me and gets it, honestly. If this gets committed to this, which I think it will, if they don't use all of it, does it take a unanimous vote again to turn around and reallocate it back? Okay, all right.
Go ahead, Mr. McKee.
What if we decide a low interest, very low interest loan, if we decided to go any part of it that way or not? I'm not saying we will, so don't nobody leave here thinking we're gonna make a loan. Is that still in the works? Can that be changed to that?
You can change this once it's adopted by ordinance. It
Okay.
just has to come back as another ordinance to change it.
Yeah, I'm not looking to do that, but you never know when the government might just give you some money, huh?
They haven't me.
Okay.
All right. Any other discussion or questions? Again, remember, this is the first reading.
I'd just like to say, we've probably been talking about this pretty hard for the last 10 years. Some of you older firemen probably verify that, correct? Good 10 years, really hot, maybe the last 5, though. More than 10? Yeah, you're showing my age now. I think it was well thought out, well planned, well researched, and like Jeff said, I hate that the cost of construction has went up the way it has. If we'd have built it 2 years ago, we'd have got 50% more for our money, but it is what it is. We'll bite the bullet and do it when we need to. And the research you guys did is excellent, so I appreciate it. Thanks.
It will surprise me, I talked to Chief about the other day, it'll surprise me if it comes back 4 million or under, just because of what government, industrial, and, commercial property costs you to get built. So try to cut the corners and we try to keep it there, but let's make it nice.
There are grants that we can still, in the process, still ask for when it relates to building the station. Whether it's just for the air handling system, from beginning to end, so we could really possibly reduce that amount through grants between now and the time that we're actually building also, so.
Hey, that's true, but most grants, if I understand, it takes 18 months to 2 years to get through it. And that's the problem. That's why we talked to Chief about the grant in the very beginning, and it's tough to get them that on a timely basis. And then you're not guaranteed.
Well, exactly. You know, it's just cross the fingers and hope.
I would just encourage anybody that wants to know why we're making the decision now, how, et cetera. Chief and his men put together a presentation to us that we saw in the last couple months, and I would just encourage anybody to take their time, look it over, read it, and if you come up with a different answer than what I think we're going to come up with, I'd be surprised. It was very well done. Anyways, just thank you and congratulations on the information and the presentation y'all did.
Any other comments or questions?
It was well documented and everything that you put in there, and I think especially in the last year especially, you know, you can put together a report to say this is why we need it, but I tell you, when we saw how a couple of lives were saved down here on the interstate, when we actually had a second company that day, when you start seeing things occur like that, that is what really shows, okay, now is the time. The fire that our guys went to just the other day, with the large structures, we have some large houses out here. So, yeah, now's the time, and it's showing that we need to get this done. So thank you for everything.
And it's also went from a fire department that was kind of looked at as a training program to bigger and better to being somewhere these guys that really like to come to, so I like that.
Any other comments or questions? Seeing none, all in favor of the motion say aye. Aye. Opposed? That item passes. Next item B, Resolution 2018-4. I know we have some firefighters that were here in support just to do it. If y'all don't want to sit for the whole meeting, don't. I know y'all were here for support. Same as staff. I know unless y'all been told by your department heads to stay here. I'm saying we're not going to be offended if some of y'all need to get up and leave. I know you got to go spend time with your families too. So.
They've already had it.
Okay. Item B, Resolution 2018-44 to authorize the First Amendment to purchase and sale agreement for the town property, 1.75 acres, amended to add 0.42 acres for a total of 2.17 acres of vacant land on the west side of Airline Road, south of Memphis Arlington Road, adjacent to Arlington Automotive with D3 LLC. Mr. Lawson. I had to make sure I was getting the right person.
This is a First Amendment purchase and sale agreement. So this is the property that the town has listed just south of Arlington Automotive. Portion of that property, we approved it back in March or April. The due diligence period, they've made inquiries, done their due diligence, come back through the due diligence period. The initial one expired and came through. We had this back set for the July meeting, but there's some issues with the wording, and they come through. They're adding additional land, but the amount of additional land didn't add up to the monetary amount. So in lieu of starting a new contract, we're just amending the old contract. We still have earnest money from that contract to go through. They're buying an additional 0.42 acres. Kind of L-shaped in the back a little bit. Part of that for detention on some of the property. There were some issues about shared detention on the town property. So that it was easier if they just had their own property come through that. So essentially, this is adding 0.42 acres. It's incrementally increasing the price of the property.
Per square foot.
Because of the square footage increase, the price is going up. This does start their due diligence period over, so they'll have a 90-day due diligence period to come through. If with recommendation from town staff or approval, the only change I would ask is that item 5 under utilities, there's some language that they're adding regarding that the town will provide necessary easements for utilities and access. If you'll look at the drawing, you'll see they right-of-way access, we've got shared access, we've already been on the road, we'll be at the crossing when it comes through, and then there will be a crossing when it comes through and access over on the rest of the town property. Just from clarity standpoint, they're asking for any and all, for us to provide any and all necessary easements for utilities and access. I just want to clarify that that's on town property. I don't want to get into, since they know we don't provide all utilities in Arlington, and there's other issues. I don't want to get into an argument later that we have to be responsible for providing utility service or easements to things we don't have. So I just want to modify and clarify that. If we approve the contract, it would be for the we won't provide easements through the town. We are. With that change, we'll recommend.
You heard the recommendation by Mr. Lawson. Do I have a motion to approve? Motion by Mr. Harmon, second by Mr. McKee. Discussion or questions?
Do we make a motion for that change in the contract? Okay.
Motion to amend.
Yep.
Section
Motion to
5.
amend.
Motion to amend Section 5 per Mr. Lawson's statement. Per Mr. Lawson's recommendation. So I have a motion by Mr. McKee. Second by Mr. Brooks. We are now on the motion as amended, which again is basically the discussion of utilities, which will be put in there. And any questions or discussion on that? All in favor of that motion as amended, say aye. Aye. Opposed? That amendment passes. Now we're back on the main motion. Any other discussion or questions on the sale of the property? So from here, after the 90-day due diligence, it will go to planning?
They do have provisions for all government approval, so yeah, once we go through this, I think they'll submit it. I'm not sure Angela, they submit anything?
Okay, all right,
This gives them enough time to get on the plan commission.
okay,
Just like approval.
all right. Any other discussion or questions? Seeing none, all in favor of the motion, say aye. Aye. Opposed? That item passes. Next up, item C, Resolution 2018-45 of the Town of Arlington, a municipal corporation, State of Tennessee, creating an LPRF Forest Street Phase 2 and 3 assigned fund balance in order to ensure fund availability for completion of said project. Mrs. Owens.
Yes, sir. So this is a resolution. This is to assign monies, which only takes a majority. It does not take any of this decision. The town did enter into a contract with Wagner General Contractors for the construction services at Forest Street Park Phase 2 and 3 last month. And this resolution will state that the Board of Mayor and Aldermen wish to segregate funds currently reflected in the undesignated fund balance and allocate those funds for the completion of this project. We did award that contract, and the amount that you are assigning is $1,383,552, and staff recommends approval.
You've heard the recommendation by Mrs. Owens. Do I have a motion to approve? Motion by Mrs. Pardue. Second by Mr. Harmon. Discussion or questions on this? Similar to the other one, except the wording again is signed. Any discussion or questions? As we see, it's much needed down there at the park too, so.
It's a majority vote to change or to accept or change or whatever.
So whatever we vote on, on these type of policies for fund balance, if it's a unanimous one, it has to be unanimous to reverse it. If it's a majority, it's a majority, okay. However we vote for it, it has to be the same rules to reverse it, okay. All right, any other discussion or questions? Seeing none, all in favor of the motion say aye. Aye. Opposed? That item passes. Item D, Resolution 2018-46, to enter into a memorandum of understanding with the Tennessee Department of Transportation, Department of Safety and Homeland Security, and Tennessee counties and cities for an open roads policy. Mrs. Durant or Chief Harville? You got this one. It has both of you, so sometimes I'm not sure.
We, of course, you mentioned the double tally we had. We spoke with TDOT about how we can improve some of our training. They came in, we had our after action here in this room as we speak, and he shared a statistic that most of the time a small, moderate accident on the side of the road creates a chain reaction, backs up traffic, and most often causes a secondary accident, which is far worse than the one that originally started. And so the TDOT is working closely with all law enforcement and fire departments, and it's trying to enter into this memorandum of understanding to work together, that it's the law enforcement, the first responders, and TDOT that works together to get the highways back open to avoid this chain reaction of traffic backing up. And that's why we're bringing them in here to teach all 3 shifts, and we've also extended that offer to Shelby County Sheriff's Office and Shelby County Fire Department. And so they'll be coming in here sometime. Some of those guys will be for the first time ever doing that traffic incident management course that they're teaching. And so that's what this is for us to work together with law enforcement and with TDOT to maintain keeping the roads open while at the same time making sure our guys stay safe on all the state and interstates.
Got a question?
Yes, sir.
Ultimately, the fire department still will have
Hang on.
overall command.
Yes, sir, correct.
Yeah, Mr.
Of the
Harlan.
situation.
Let's get we gotta get a motion on the floor. Yeah. So, you've heard the recommendation by Chief Harville. Do I have a motion to approve? Motion. Do I have a second? Second. Second by Mr. McKee. All right, get on the record. I'm sorry.
Okay. I was, since we're entered into this agreement, I just wanted to make sure that you as the chief and the fire department, ultimately through Tennessee state law, you have total command.
Yes, sir. We are instant commanders on the scene. Correct.
Okay, I just want to make sure that we did maintain that authority.
Yes, sir.
Because we don't.
And it really isn't a delegation of authority. It's just something in writing saying that we'll all attempt to work together to maintain open roads on the interstate.
Any other discussion or questions for Chief?
Training's always good.
Amen.
All right, all in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That item passes. Thank you, Chief. Item E, Resolution 2018-47 to authorize a land disturbance permit for the land located north of Forest Street, west of Fayette County line, known as Phase 4 of Belmont PD. Mrs. Reeder.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Let me turn that off. This item in front of you is regarding a land disturbance permit that was recently considered and approved by the Planning Commission. It's for Phase 4 of the Belmont PD. This is north side of 4th Street, about as far east as you can go in town on the Fayette County line. Phase 1 is currently building homes. 2 and 3 are under construction. The land disturbance permit simply allows them to go in and begin work on the lake on the back to pull some of the dirt out of there to actually create the area for Phase 4 and for a portion of Phase 3 as well. They've asked to do this now, given the season. They will be required to go back and stabilize that area once they're completed with the dirt movement. They will utilize that pond in the back as sediment basins during their earthwork operations. There are no homes being requested with this, as it's only basically a grading permit is what we're authorizing. So no development fees will be paid with this agreement, as no new lots would be permitted. There is a $180,000 bond that will be required to be paid by the developer per the engineer's estimate attached here, and that would be to bring the property into some state if for some reason the developer were to walk away. Staff's recommending approval of the resolution 2018-47, which would allow for the land disturbance with Belmont LLC for Phase 4 of this development.
You've heard the recommendation by Mrs. Reeder. Do I have a motion to approve? Motion by Ms. Pardue. Second by Mr. Biggs. Discussion or questions on this?
I have one.
Sure.
Can we make sure the developer stays away from the creek, clearing all the trees out on the weekends on this part of the?
There will be some tree removal with this.
I want us to know what it's going to be, not going down there on their own on the weekend without us knowing it and doing it.
We can ask them about timing and to let us know when they're doing it, but they will have to continue the drainage ditch through there per the design requirements, because it drains a large basin there.
I know there's got to be some, but at least we should know what they're doing.
Absolutely.
That's the only question I had.
Okay. Any other questions or comments for Mrs. Reeder? Seeing none, all in favor of the motion say aye. Aye. Opposed? That item passes. Item F, Resolution 2018-48 to authorize Mike Wisman in his capacity as mayor to enter into an Arlington Athletic Facility Provider Agreement with Arlington Lacrosse. Mrs. Owens.
Yes, sir. This is a standard agreement he executed for their fall
You've heard the recommendation by Ms. Owens. Do I have a motion to approve?
Motion to approve.
Motion by Mr. Brooks,
Second.
second by Mrs. Pardue. Discussion or questions on this?
Standard agreement, same as everyone else, correct?
Representatives from La Crosse are here if you have any questions for them.
I answered mine before. She said I couldn't play without hurting my back, so. I'm good. Yeah, I know that too.
Any other discussion or questions? Seeing none, all in favor of the motion say aye. Aye. Opposed? That item passes. Item G, Resolution 2018-49 to amend the schedule of sewer charges and fees relative to sewer use pursuant to Title 18, Chapter 2 of the Arlington Municipal Code. Mrs. Owens.
Yes, sir. So, also last month, Mr. Steve White was down from UTM Pass. We did engage services with them for an in-depth wastewater financial rate study. It is attached in your agenda. Their review and recommendation was presented to you guys last month. The study suggests that a rate increase on sewer use charges in order to reduce the Arlington's dependency upon surcharges and inspection fees, reduce the risk of reporting a negative change in net position, increase cash flow for operations necessary to pay off debt, and enable cash payments instead of borrowing to meet the town's sewer system needs. And also recommends an automatic cost of living adjustment of 2% each year. Based off of hearing the recommendations last month, at this time, the recommendation is going to be the 15% increase, which will make the base rate $8.65 with no minimum volume, plus $3.27 per CCF of water usage. And at this time, staff recommends approval, and we have a further answer any questions that you may have.
You've heard the recommendation by Ms. Owens. Do I have a motion to approve?
Motion to approve.
Motion by Mr. Brooks. Second by Mrs. Pardue. Discussion.
This is probably way overdue, so should have done it a few years back. I didn't realize till this year that the sewer treatment plant was actually drawing some money out of general fund. Is that correct? How it comes out?
Actually, what you're doing is drawing down your cash flow. So your
Thank you.
principal payment of your loans is more than your depreciation.
Right, which means it's not funding itself. So, here we go.
Pretty much.
Yeah, so unfortunately,
Leading your cash flow.
it's an unnecessary evil, unfortunately. But it's probably one of our most important resources because when it goes out, yes. Any other, go ahead.
Maybe if people understood it a little bit more too, that we had a municipality not too far from here that the state took over because they were not going by the rate they should be going by. And if you need a telephone number, see me privately and I'll tell you who it is. You can call them and see what they went through to get it back in order. And it's not good, so it's something we don't control.
If you
Yeah.
run more than 2 years of negative change in net position, your wastewater review board will come down and take over control of your utility.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's one of those things like we kind of have to do it, even though we don't want to do it, but it needs to be done type thing. Any other discussion or questions?
I'd like to just thank Terry. I had some technical questions around the surcharges, and he spent some time with me. Andy as well. Gil, you weren't in, so he stepped in and did a great job of answering my questions. I really appreciate that.
Any other discussion or questions? Seeing none, all in favor of the motion say aye. Aye. Opposed? That item passes. We do have 2 items to add to the agenda. I guess the next one is 2018-50? Okay. So this will be item H. This is a resolution to authorize Mike Wisman in his capacity as mayor to enter into an Arlington Athletic Facility Provider Agreement with Arlington Softball Baseball League. Mrs. Owens.
Yes, sir. This is also a standard agreement with Arlington Softball and Baseball League. All of their paperwork is on file, and staff recommends approval at this time.
Further recommendation by Ms. Owens. Do I have a motion to approve? Motion by Mrs. Pardue.
Second.
Second by Mr. McKee. Any discussion or questions? Again, standard agreement, correct?
Yes, sir.
Oscar, you can't play in this either.
Yes.
No, I know better than that.
Any other discussion? Seeing none, all in favor of the motion say aye. Aye. Opposed? That item passes. All right, so item I don't, this isn't, is this reading in as a resolution? This is a discussion item. I just want to make sure because I didn't have that. So this is, I'm going to turn this over to Mr. Lawson. Item I.
This is a discussion item. As you're discussed, we had the property for sale south of the, south.
We get in the microphone just so we make sure we get it on the record here, so I'm sorry.
So this is relating to the other piece of property that we have for sale on the corner of Caroline and Memphis, Arlington. We've got 4 acres for sale there. We've been trying to sell it as a whole tract, had it under contract at one time, it's fallen through. We received 2 different offers that are actually identical in price per square foot, going back, for 1 acre on the corner, just the whole corner. So the town would still own the other 3 1/4 acres, 3.5 acres as well. That was not originally what I believe we discussed and do anything, but seeing that this is the market when we come through on the property, we've got 2 different offers. Both of them are commercial users. One of them is an office user. One is a retail user. It would come through. We just need direction from the board tonight. We have a letter of intent from one, an offer of a contract from the other. A letter of intent is essentially just not a formalized contract. They're just laying out the terms of what the contract would be. If the board chooses to give us direction tonight, we don't have necessarily, even the contract that we have, I would want to make some modifications and changes. So if it's in this purview of this board, we didn't want to put, especially in real estate, if you put anything off a little bit, the buyers could find some other tract or some other way to go. So in order to give them a better direction and have some discussion from the board of which way you'd rather proceed with one of these 2 offers, you can make a motion tonight to direct the mayor to enter into an agreement subject to review and approval of the city attorney, and we can do that and draft a contract under the basic terms. We just need some direction from the board since, fortunately, we have 2 offers. And they are both at $13 a square foot. There are some slight variances in earnest money and some other issues that basically have the same due diligence period under both, which is very similar to what we have on the property we just discussed, the property to the south that we have for the other ones. So every
Okay.
user for the commercial end use is going to want some due diligence period, time to do their inspections, time to get approvals, make sure they can work for the site.
So basically, we need a motion to approve for myself, a motion for me to sign into an agreement
If that's
per,
what you choose to do for tonight, you can direct us to go
Per
back
your-
and do something else. But I mean, if you choose for us to enter into a contract with one of these 2, I think the appropriate motion, we don't necessarily need it on the floor for discussion items, because this is just a discussion item.
Okay.
But if you want to take an action to go forward with one of these 2, then the motion would be for the mayor to enter into any and all agreements and contracts subject to review and approval of the attorney, directing which of these 2 entities you want to proceed with.
so basically we have 2 competitive offers, same price, one being of medical use, we're not sure of what type, and one being of retail use.
Retail use.
And so I think, and from what we've been told through staff, is that $13 is quite a good price for that land.
I believe that dealing with prices we've looked at and thing, I think that's a pretty good price for it.
Yeah, because I know we've been fortunate to be in this position, and hopefully that will help the other properties we have over there also, but.
Yeah, and that has to be taken into consideration, because you're not selling the entire corner like we would at one time. So we're going to be left with the remainder property by subdividing ourselves and doing that, which we hope to sell to a developer who would come off and sell. No one end user was probably going to use that entire 4.5 acres. We wanted somebody to come in and develop it, sell it off themselves. Apparently, there's not a market. It's been on the market several years for that. So if we come in and subdivide this 1 acre, we're still going to have to come in and either retain or through in-house staff with the planning and engineer, figure out what are the other lots we'll want to market and sell, and the interconnectivity between this property and the other adjacent properties, possibly another lot that faces Memphis, Arlington, and a lot or 2 that face Caroline.
Yeah, if I recall, and I'm not going to say a number because I can't remember the number, but I remember we were hoping to get a decent amount or a certain amount for that property as a whole, and I think just these 2 properties tonight gets us a good way there. Majority that way.
That gets us up.
Yes. So, and so now as a board, we have to basically, like I said, if everybody wants to move forward, we need to just get a motion to authorize the contract, right?
We can discuss without a motion.
We can discuss
Yeah,
without
you
it.
can
Yeah, it's a
discuss-
discussion
the
item.
motion needs to be
But if,
on which one,
yes,
yeah.
yeah, so,
I can give you my opinion on it. I really believe that if we take one of these, I'm going to be more going towards retail just because I think it'll make the surrounding area that we're going to have for sale more likely to move quicker. And because if you got retail there, there's more foot traffic. And I think then they'll go from one place to the other. And I think it'll make the other property more valuable. That's my opinion. I would go that way from what I've studied it. Plus, they got a $25,000 earnest money and the other one's $5,000 earnest money.
I completely agree with you, even though we're not voting on it right now.
But I'll make that motion if we don't have any more comments.
Well, I don't know. Is there any other discussion or comments on it?
Like, you can see all the stuff that's going on around town, as Kathy alluded to earlier in the presentation, and none of it's free, so
Well, and just
tax dollars help.
And just the fact that this property has sat vacant, it's in the middle of our main road that comes down, so to see some action going on there from one or two businesses that are going to come in, I think it'll help as we notice, the squares popping and we know what's going down by the interstate, but, if we have a little bit going on everywhere, it's balanced, and I think it's good.
Retail actually will bring in tax dollars.
I didn't want to say that, but I'm sure.
It's coming. It'll bring in the tax dollars, but like I said, more foot traffic, which would be beneficial to other people coming in and setting up a business.
Both of them will bring in real tax.
Yes.
But only one will bring in a certain amount of, the other one could bring in if they sell something, but the retail is definitely going to be selling.
Does anybody else have any other discussion as we're discussing? And if not, then I guess we can seek a motion.
I'll make the motion.
I'll second
Do I need to spell out which one?
You make a motion to
it.
go
You're
with,
making it, you make it.
Retail.
Yeah, but it doesn't say it on here, so it's making it hard for me to make a motion.
Why don't you have Mr. Lawson read it in, and that will be your
There you
motion?
go. Thank you, Mike.
if my understanding is correct, you want to go with the retail. That is the offer from commercial advisors, Fishman Wakefield Commercial Advisors at $13 a square foot. So the letter of intent, so that's,
The letter of intent with the 25,000 earnest money.
yeah,
Okay.
from commercial advisors, yeah. We don't have it does not state the purchaser's name.
I think we know which one we're talking about now.
Yeah, the offer from commercial advisors for $13 a square foot, and authorize the mayor to enter into a contract in accordance with the terms of the letter of intent, subject to the review and approval of the city attorney.
So per Mr. Lawson's recommendation, that is your motion. Mr. McKee's making the motion, and Mr. Brooks making the second. Is that adequate for the record? Okay. All right, discussion or questions? Seeing none, all in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That item passes. Mrs. Owens, anything else we need to slide in there? All right. Do I have a motion to approve the bills for payment?
Motion.
Motion by Mr. McKee, second by Ms. Pardue. Any objection to paying the bills? Seeing none, that item passes. Any other announcements before we adjourn, Mrs. Durant?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Do I have a motion to adjourn?
Motion.
Motion and a second. Any objection? Seeing none, meeting's adjourned. Thank you.
That's a 6-person motion.